negative.
You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather, host wrestling the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest is pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
Where you at, mate? we already.
We all. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nubian Wrestling Advocates Podcast. You got one half. There we go.
Yeah, and I'm not editing all this out on the audio version. So sorry to the people listening to the audio version. I have way too much going on in my schedule to edit that out. So that's a little bonus treat for all of y'all. So let's run that back. So welcome to the NWA Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the show all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. We are so glad to be back. So glad to be back live with all of y'all tonight. So we hope that you are ready for some good conversations, some things that'll make you think, make you laugh, and all of the above. So before we talk about what we're here to talk about this month, we got to let you know who we are. First of all, I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, triple OG status on these microphones, and I am joined as always by the Mayor Pro Tem of Los Angeles, California. He is one of the shareholders in the Crypto.com arena.
Hey,
he might be feeling a little some type of way this week because his favorite show, his favorite wrestling show might be coming to an end. So y'all put some prayers up for the brother, thoughts and prayers. But ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in the angry intellectual, the man with the plan. You know him, you love him. Y'all give it up for Kris Ely, a.k.a. Moderna Kris, a.k.a. the Professor. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Can we acknowledge that shirt too, man? Look at that shirt. Look at that shirt. Look at the shirt. Let's go.
What's up, y'all, man? I'm having my detox juice because me and my lady went to brunch this morning, and I got the bottomless mimosas. If you ever go to the Press Winery Bar in Burbank, but they mean it when they say bottomless, man, because every time I finish the mimosa, they just gave me more. So and I'm not a wine person either, you know. I like my beer and liquor, but you know, is my girlfriend had her birthday a couple weeks ago, so you got to represent.
Happy birthday!
Mm-hmm.
Birthday. My man Kris feeling a little alive right now.
I was gonna say, yeah. Y'all thought Moderna Kris was something. Wait till you hear this man hashtag Mimosa Kris. It's a
Mimosa Kris.
level, Andrew, of what he about to get into. But speaking of Andrew Thompson, let's bring in the third member of the team. He is one of the hardest working brothers in the game. He is the youngest in charge. He brings you all the news that's fit to read here on Post Wrestling. But most importantly, Kris, he is our nephew, the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson. What's good, nephew?
What's going on, fellas? It's good to see y'all again, man. Kris, I know I said it already, but appreciate you rocking the shirt, man. It's always good to be reminded of good old Bushby and Thompson. And Nate, it's always good to see you as well, my man.
No doubt. So, yes, it's good to see you. It's good to see Kris. And most importantly, it's good to see the people, man. Like I said, we are live this month once again. So, shout out to everybody checking us out on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel. If you have thoughts about some of the topics we're gonna get into, don't let your voice be silent. Speak up, speak on it. Leave us some comments. We'll have Kris and Andrew and myself. We'll be checking out the chat, seeing what folks are saying. But if you want to guarantee that we get your thoughts on the show, hit us with that super chat, and we will give that a top priority. So with all that being said, all the business out the way, Andrew Thompson, it is time to look back at the month of September. Earth, Wind, and Fire once said, nephew, do you remember what happened back in September? So I'm going to leave the floor to you, Andrew. Me and Kris going to clear the lane. We're going to pass you the rock. You're going to run point this month. Tell us what's going on and what is our first story that we're going to talk about here on the NWA Podcast.
Man, so this is one that's sort of been, going around over the last several weeks or so. ACH had previously said he was going to say, but again, he, put out a statement and, he said, I'll keep it short. I'd like to officially bow out gracefully from professional wrestling. And, he thanked everybody for everything. And then he additionally wrote a lengthy post on Instagram. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just pulled out some key points from it. He noted that, he doesn't care if people view him as weak or, how he comes off to others, or how others may perceive him from making a decision that he just made. They say his life hasn't been the same for a while. He opened up about a breakup that he had that, sort of took a mental toll on him. And he added that, he's tried to let the WWE t-shirt situation go. Like he's tried numerous times, but it's been very difficult for him to let that go. And specifically touching on that, he said, it plays a huge part of my career and left a huge impression on me. I don't seek money, but I do seek a conversation that allows me to express my concerns about the situation. I grew up a WWE fan and that was my dream destination. I hate that it ended the way it did. And on top of all that, ACA shared that his father passed away as well. But he made sure to note that that's not something that he really wanted to get into. So the last match that ACH wrestled was on September 9th. And he was one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions with Josie, as we talked about in the last NWA podcast. But very, very difficult in testing last several years or so for ACH. We talked about it on numerous fronts about this situation. And, he, like he mentioned in the post, like, this WWE t-shirt situation, specifically on top of like all the other stuff that he's been dealing with, like particularly changing into the wrestling side, like he openly expressed that that's been something that he sort of wants to, I guess, further elaborate on or speak to somebody directly within the company about that entire situation. Like, and obviously it still weighs on him heavily. And then, above all else, I'm pretty sure losing a parent is, something that's probably bumped down on him heavy.
Yeah. So first of all, but before we get to any of the wrestling stuff, prayers up for that brother and his family for what they're going through right now.
Right.
But Kris, when you think about this ACH situation, it is very kind of intertwined with this podcast because that was kind of the impetus for this show. It's an idea you'd been kicking around for a little bit. And then once the ACH/Jordan Miles situation popped off, you were like, we got to talk about this. We need to address this because of the way it was being covered by some of our Caucasian brothers in this space. Yeah, there was a little bit of that nuance and that understanding that somebody from the culture would have on topics like this. And that was kind of the impetus for the NWA podcast. So flash forward to this month. And, this to me is sad because the brother got a lot left in the tank, man. If you wanted to, this could be, something that he could do for a minute. And it goes to show you, right? Like there is a toll on these things, right? There's a toll that comes from going through some stuff like this, right? And being at the center of something like that. And so you can just tell, from the statements Andrew read, like this has been something that's been weighing on the brother, aside from what's going on personally in his life, like just the business and the things that he's going through in the business, it's weighing on him. And so, if this is what he wants to do, we support that brother in his decision, man. Wish all the best for him, going forward in life. And, if he ever does decide, that he wants to speak about this publicly, more in depth, like Kris, like he has an open invite here on this program because there's a chance this program would not be here, or it would be in a different form if not for that initial incident where he was disrespected, by the WWE, and that led us to get on these microphones and talk about other things going on in this business when it pertains to black talent. So all the love and respect in the world to that brother, and just hope that his mind is right, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, right? Like, as Marshawn Lynch said, keep your mind on your chickens and your mental. And so we wish that brother ACH.
Right, yeah, man. I know what he means about going through a breakup. I went through a pretty. Me and you, Nate. I think we went through breakups.
You had to put my business out there with yours.
we don't need to get into the details, but we were both going through breakups at the same time. I just remember that time.
Hey, Kris, you wild as shit for doing that.
No. I'm just saying, like we can speak to that though. Is all I'm saying, because I remember when I was going through my breakup, and we had to be there for each other, my dude. Is all I'm saying. So I feel him on that front. As far as the wrestling stuff with that shirt, I believe that U2 describes it the best in that song, Stuck in a Moment. He's just still in that moment, and he does have to move past that because it's not doing anybody any good. If he's still in the breakup with the girlfriend moment, you got to move past that too, just because you are not going to be able to function in life if you do not move past these kinds of incidents, and like I said, I know better than anybody else, you know what I'm saying? I've had my fill of dealing with mild racism in certain instances, because after enough things, it goes from mild racism and it stops being mild racism. It's like, okay, what's really hood over here? You know what I'm saying? What's up with you people? So I get it. I 100% get it, but I really do want him to just be in a good space. He probably just doesn't belong in wrestling at the moment. Because the wrestling business is gonna be what it's gonna be. A lot of these old habits die hard. The wrestling business has been doing what it's been doing for decades, and it's just now starting to clean itself up. Like when I watch WWE and AEW, and you're finally not just seeing the diversity, but now you're finally starting to see inclusion with the black talent. It is getting better, but it's probably not where it should be yet. But if that's a business that you're gonna be in, you gotta figure out some kind of workaround. And I think we'll probably get into this later, but I think promoters need to make sure the mental health, and not just the black talent, but just all their talent is fine. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have people at press conferences eating breakfast pastries and going off and all this stuff with Thunder Rosa, and this stuff all comes. How
you gonna be angry with a toaster strudel, Kris? How?
I know, right? Like this dude was just taking. We'll get into that, man. But these wrestlers, they got to make sure their mental is taken care of before anything else, man. That comes first. Your overall physical health, and your mental health. Those things
it's getting
come
better,
first.
but it's not there yet.
Yeah. Because that business will eat you up, swallow you, and shit you out, man. And I've just seen it way too many times.
Yeah. Any thoughts on ACH, Andrew, before we hit the next story? Nephew with the dramatic pause. Is Andrew muted?
I think he's on a delay or something. What's up, Andrew?
There
you go. There you go.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like I was wondering why I was acting like that, but like I was just gonna piggyback off what Kris was saying about the ACH situation and pertaining to specifically the wrestling stuff. Like he said that plays like such a massive role, a big role in his career. Like I can only imagine what it feels like to have been busting your ass in the field for so long, to people only to associate you with a situation that does not feature the company that you work for's best moment, in addition to people looking at you in a certain way because of a emotional sort of distress moment that you were in. You know what I'm saying? Right. People like solely associating you with that after you putting in however many amount of years of work into this specific field that you've been in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure that's like that's just like a demoralizing thing in a way to know that people look back at your career and that's going to be probably one of the key points or bigger talking points that people will often associate you with. So I know that's probably something that's weighing on them heavy as well. And like he talked about how he wants to have a conversation with someone there. Like I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, and if he does get that, I hope that brings him some type of peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. But I do think what Kris said, like, does sort of lay some credence as far as like you, like, I mean, especially at this point, like, you just gonna have to like essentially say fuck them and like just keep moving forward, bro. Because I did exactly that. I hope mentally above everything else. Because I'm pretty sure, like I mentioned earlier, like I'm pretty sure it's a damning thing to know that you work this hard and then people only have come to associate you with this thing that is completely unrelated to your in-ring work, which you in this profession for. So, much love to ACH, man. I hope he able to, bounce back.
Yeah, and the wrestling business is just unforgiving, man. They're, they're only gonna feel sorry for you for so long, and they're not even gonna do that, We are having some crazy technical difficulties at the moment. What the hell? Stick around, y'all. We got this under control.
Keep going, Kris.
Yeah, we got it under control. We are having some technical issues at the moment, but we are gonna be good. But yeah, back to this ACH stuff. I really do hope this brother lands on his feet whatever he tries to do. At this point, because this has been a couple of years now, I don't think the wrestling business is something that he's suited for. The problem that ACH is gonna have to deal with now is whatever business he's in, this kind of shit is gonna exist. It's not like you leave the wrestling business and this stuff goes away. It's like the toxicity level in the wrestling business might be higher than most businesses, but as far as stuff like this, because I still remember that Dave Chappelle sketch, we Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, and dude is working at corporate job. And so the white guy says, "Hey, give me 5, man," or put it.
You still talking, Kris?
Yeah, I'm talking. Do you hear me?
Yeah, he good, Nate. Brother Nate, you good? Oh, you good, Kris?
All right, yeah. So so that when keeping it real goes wrong stuff is real for us in whatever field that we are in, man. And hopefully
hey Kris,
yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think that it's a combination of maybe ACH not being able to take that an extended period of time away from pro wrestling, in addition to him, wanting to actually be in WWE? Like, I don't think that's like anything like speculative. Like he talked about, like, that's a big part of his career that I'm sure that he wishes could have went differently. Do you think it's like a combination of those two things? Like him also not being able to take like an extended break away from wrestling in general, on top of him internally maybe still wanting to get that chance in WWE?
Yeah, like this is a big part of this is just kind of like critical thinking skills, right? Because I do think that what him wanting to be a WWE and him, needing to get his mental issues in order. And I'm not saying mental issues as a derogatory thing. I'm just saying it as a thing that this brother needs to handle.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And he needs to get all that stuff in order, man. And hopefully I'm thinking that he just doesn't need to be in the wrestling business right now. He needs to, I don't know how much he's saved up, how much he's amassed, but he's got to take care of whatever issues that, because look, man, I've been through the stuff that he's been through, but I don't have the luxury of just being able to still be on whatever. Like I'm at an age and a point in my life when shit happens, I can be sad about whatever shit's happening in that moment for that period of time, and then I just have to be prepared for the next thing that's gonna happen, because shit is always happening. It never stops. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the nature of being a responsible adult.
Yeah, that's what it is, bro.
Yeah, you are gonna deal with these kind of things, and it's the fact that he's still this thing weighs so strongly on him, even like a few years removed from the fact. It just really speaks to the issues that he's kind of dealing with, because he's got us. I mean, if this is, it'd be bad enough if this was like hitting you for like 6 months, man.
Yeah.
Where are we at now with this? It's like, it's been some years and some change,
Hey,
like,
Kris, that was pre-pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when the world was still normal and shit, man. And we're still like over here, like, what's good, dude? You can't be on TV right now. You can't be on TV. You can't be wrestling. No indie shows, none of that stuff. If I don't know what it's like in his state, but if he could collect some like disability for a few months to deal with those mental issues, if they'll get, it won't be a huge check, but it'll be something, man. But you can't be in this space right now. You can't be working, because that's the problem with life right now, right? So he's still upset with this t-shirt stuff, and then on top of that, he had a breakup that really got to him, and then on top of that, he had a death of a parent. You know what I'm saying? And you need to, yeah. You are dealing with a lot of crap, and you're dealing with so much crap that you're not even over the other. Like, if my mama or my grandmother died, I wouldn't give a fuck about some stupid ass shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like that problem would be like, not saying it won't hurt still.
Bottom of the totem pole now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, the breakup is bad enough. I know, like I said, I know the mental toll breakups take on you. You know what I'm saying? Because it just messes with you. Like me and the ex that I broke up with, we just recently made peace, like a few months ago. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it takes that long. You know what I'm saying? And the stuff we had going on with us was like in the last decade. You know what I'm saying? It's like 2013 or 14. You know what I'm saying? So you know you gotta move on. Not saying you got to forget the stuff you were going through, but you got to move on and you got to get to that next level, that next rung in life, my bro.
Yeah, and it is a process, you know, because you mentioned all the other things.
You better know you said it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's a process because you mentioned all the other things, not to mention like just being alive during the last 3 years. That's an emotional toll that we still don't know the ramifications of that on people's psyche and people's mental health. On top of that, just being a black person in America, man.
Right.
Like that's exhausting. Like it's exhausting just being black in this country. And so especially over the last 4 or 5 years. And so you put all of that together in this mix, you know, in this gumbo of stuff that's going on inside this brother's head. And I think when you look at that WWE shirt, it is, like you said, Kris, the U2, that song, Stuck in a Moment, and you just can't get out of it. And I think part of that is because when he looks at that, and not to speak for him, but it's like, that is the thing. Like, that should have been my happiest moment. Right. I worked hard all these years to get to this place. And then this is how that place did me. Yeah. And I'm sure like it eats at them. But like you said, eventually you got to kind of let that go, not to absolve them of any wrongdoing, but for your own mental health. You know what I mean? For your own peace of mind. So I hope he can get to that point because, you know, the brother was talented and they did him dirty.
Yeah, and we'll do a deeper dive into because the CM Punk stuff is a topic on this show this week, right? Or this month, right? So we'll get. You
already know, Kris. The people that seen the show, they just seen the name, the title of this episode, so they know we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a deep dive in this because I think all of this is in a roundabout way. Is related to each other. And I'm seeing your comments. I'm having a hard time displaying them, so please forgive me at the moment, y'all. But I'm seeing Dickie Bird, and I'm seeing who else? Black Mega Man. Black Mega Man. Right.
That's a totally different listener.
I was like,
yo, like, look. As soon as he said Black Mega Man, Andrew, I was like, oh snap! Herschel Walker heard what we said about him.
So we're seeing your comments. I'm trying to work on getting them displayed. Please forgive me.
There we go, Kris. So that's for Black Mega Man.
Yeah. All right, cool. So
that was back when everybody still loved NXT.
Yeah.
I said when Kris said Black Mag, I was like, hold on, brother. I was like, who
this? I know,
like,
because it would make sense. Like, if any of you guys ever get a chance, read the post wrestling comments on like Apple Podcasts or Podbean or whatever streaming app you listen to. Those motherfuckers are all kinds of racist, and the shit that they say about us, man, is like Jesus Christ, man. So yeah, let me see. So you are. What does it say?
You say so? You're just saying ACH should have just ate some muffins?
I don't know. Those muffins were making CM Punk angrier. Hey,
Kris and Nate, did y'all see NXT's Idris Anafe and Malik Blaze spoof the CM Punk All Out Media Scrum?
No, I haven't seen that yet, man.
They did like a little it was like probably 30 seconds in total. They spoofed, but like the dude Malik Blade, he had like took the drink, the big gulp like Tony Khan did in the press conference, and Idris had the towel wrapped around his neck, and he was eating the muffin and stuff like that. He was like, I'm young, I'm old, and I'm fucking tired. And like he was just like just making like little references and stuff here and there. Like they was hilarious, man. Idris and Malik over at NXT. But like, y'all ready to get on to the
I think
next topic?
We should get into the world of AEW then.
Let's go on ahead and do that. Yeah.
Let's get into AEW, man. We're gonna start off with some positive news, man. The Acclaimed are finally the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Big shout out to Anthony Bowens as well. I saw he put out on his social media. I know he has said in the interviews too. I think he's AEW's first openly gay male champion in the company. So yeah, big shout out to Anthony Bowens on his milestone on top of the collective milestone with him and Caster. Me personally, I didn't think that this match was better than the one they had at All Out, but I don't really think it mattered because the crowd was like, the crowd was there for one reason. They wanted to see. I'm talking about involved in this match for one reason. They wanted to see the Acclaim get the tag belts, and I think it was a great moment for them overall, and like for them to give Billy Gunn his rejuvenate his career on top of on top of their rise. So yeah, shout out to Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, man. I know there's a lot of people who felt like at All Out that was probably not even felt, but I was like the consensus that All Out that was like that was like the time when you knew that it was like coming in the future that the Acclaim was probably gonna get a tag title at some point, and I'm glad they got to have that big moment in the region that they either they trained in as well up at Creative Pro. So yeah, shout out to Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, man.
Yeah, Bowens is from Jersey and Caster's from New York. His pops played for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
I don't care about the Jets, but that's another conversation for another day. That's my boy Hugo and Jamal. But yeah, shout out to the both of them. And this is what we've been talking about with AEW for a while. And I think AEW is really starting to get it.
Did Kris just freeze on us? Uh-oh. The mimosas caught up to the brother. Oh, yeah.
Mimosa must have spit
right.
Over into his
you
PC,
can't podcast and drink mimosas, brother.
Hey. And Nate, you can see me though, right?
So I'll pick up from where Kris was saying.
Okay, cool. Oh man, we having some. You know what's happening? The powers that be. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm talking about the high powers, powers, man. I don't know what's they try to stop us, man. I don't know what's going on, but
I'm telling you, man. Once we started talking about Black MAGA, they was like, "You got to take these brothers off the air."
So to circling back on Chris's point, like I know that you've been a big advocate for the Acclaimed. I know since we started this podcast, you've always been one that's been very supportive of Anthony Bowens and Max Caster as well. So talk to me about how you felt about the Acclaim winning the tag titles and you know how critical of a role that Swerve and Keith Lee played in that, on like them just naturally putting themselves into that heel position. I don't even know if you like but for real, bro. I don't even know if it is like an exact heel position. I just feel like the crowd just was so pro the Acclaimed. Like I don't feel like they was like anti.
They weren't anti, but it's just everybody loves the Acclaim.
Exactly. There you go.
And so like you said, I've been a big fan of these brothers for a minute. I was actually surprised it happened because I felt like it was a little soon. But man, when the crowd is that into a performer, sometimes you got to throw the plans out the window and ride the hot hand. And these two guys have improved in ring. Like I think. Man, Bowens is a dude that just impresses me. Friend of the show, Steve Willie. He and his kids met Anthony Bowens, said the dude was just like one of the nicest guys out there. You see the work he does for GLAAD and organizations like that. Like, it's good to see, man. And I feel like one of the things I took from All Out, Andrew, is that, and it looks like we might have the professor coming back. But one of the things my man spilled. Kris, you can't be drinking mimosas and podcasting. You spill it on the laptop, brother.
Okay. You hear me now?
Hey, but Kris looks so disappointed, bro.
Hey, it's technology, babe. Sometimes you got to roll with what comes up. But yeah. So Kris, we were talking about the acclaim, and I was saying how I felt it might have happened a little too soon, but you got to go with the hot hand when the crowd is that behind a group, and I love what them dudes are doing. And I think one of the things that I took away from this year's All Out, as opposed to when we look back to last year's All Out, is we had a lot more color on the program. And I dig that. My only small nitpick, Andrew, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is a lot of those black performers were playing conference games. And I feel like the next step is
you funny as shit with this, the conference game.
The next step, right? Like the next step is like Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. They great. Let's see them be great against other people. Swerve and Keith and the Acclaim, they great. Let's see them be great against other people. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm loving that we getting all this representation on All Out, which is something that was sorely missing last year. But now I want to see them mix it up and be elevated. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't just have to keep playing these SWAC games and these MEAC games. Let's see them expand into other conferences, man.
Yeah, I agree. Do you guys hear me? First of all,
yes, we hear you.
Good, Kris.
Okay,
you good,
cool.
Kris.
So yeah, I think for me, it's just I'm just glad that AEW, the talent, it finally seems like the black talent matter. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually cared about who was going to win or lose that match between Swerve and Our Glory and the Acclaim. You know, in the past, it just felt like when I would watch this show that everything was inconsequential when it came to black talent. And for the first time, especially with the male talent, well, with the female talent too, but it just felt like everything was inconsequential. It just felt like it didn't matter who won or who lost. And even when Swerve and Our Glory first won the tag titles, it really just didn't feel like, you know, there was something off about it in the beginning. They didn't seem, they were having excellent matches, but they didn't seem like they were putting any kind of juicy storylines or anything like that. And this with the Acclaim seemed good. And I would have loved for Swerve and Our Glory to have a good year title reign, but it just wasn't in the cards because the Acclaim just got so hot so fast.
Yeah.
And you know, we could see what happens with Swerve and Our Glory. They could go for the tag titles again. You know, they could branch off and become singles wrestlers. And anything could happen with those dudes. And I'm just here for it all, and I'm happy for those guys. And I'm happy for Swerve and Our Glory too. I'm happy that they're doing some stuff. And yeah, man, I'm just like I said, I'm glad. Like, they still need to work on the female talent in AEW, but at least, you know, baby steps with these fools, right?
And like you want, like, Kris, just to follow up on both you and Nate's point. So the transition into more of this conversation, the reactions that Swerve Strickland has been getting has been one that's been garnering like a lot of attention, like from a lot of different people. Like, seemingly went from, you know, big baby face guy, and just, you know, him and Keith naturally leaning into this role that the crowd you know, seemingly put them into because of the Acclaim's rise. And I think they've done a great job in that. And like, specifically speaking about Swerve, like, I think it was really cool to see like not cool, but it was cool to see like the amount of like sort of booze that he was reining in, like in the way that he was playing off it. And of course, him bringing, like, we're gonna touch on the celebrities that was brought in. I feel like that's gonna be a funny conversation that we're gonna have. But specifically speaking about Swerve, like, I remember he had said he said in quite a few interviews, man, I'm talking about since he first left WWE, that he, you know, approached Triple H and he was just like, man, I want to be one of your guys. Like, he recently brought it up again on Renee's podcast, but, you know, Swerve said it a couple of times where he was just like, you know, he told Triple H, like, look, what do I got to do to be, you know, I feel like I could be one of your main guys. Like, I just need you to sort of, you know, get behind me and, you know, let me do my thing and let's get together and let's do some stuff. And like you see what he's doing now and the people he's bringing in, and you sort of blending that AEW product into the hip hop culture and, you know, playing his role in that. I'm pretty sure some other people in there as well, but, you know, he's mixed up in that. And like, I mean, I think he made some very, very valid points, man, as far as like he felt like he should have been one of those guys in WWE. I feel like we've been saying it for quite some time that, you know, that definitely, even when he was still there, that, you know, definitely could have been one of their guys if they wanted to. And I know he put out a tweet recently where he was like, he feels he's the best acquisition for AEW in 2022. And it's kind of hard to argue with him for real. So I mean, like he got a solid point right there, man. So I was just more so wondering about what y'all thought about Swerve saying that he's the AEW's best acquisition of 2022.
Who all did they get this year, man? It's so many.
Athena, Stoke, who came? You got Saraya just popped up. Who came? Anybody come in January or I can't. Bro, it's been so many people, bro.
Yeah, I just give it to him just because I don't.
Yeah, just
remember who else has been there. You know, it's just it's Nate's having internet issues, so I just got that message from.
Yeah, the camera stuck on me, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stuck on me.
Oh my
God. This is like the most.
We have some trouble, man. We definitely have some trouble with the internet. Hopefully, when they get back in here, he'll be able to take the camera off me. But we'll keep going, Kris, because you can still hear me all good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool, Kris. Let's talk about this. Trina popping up on the AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, involved in the segment with Jade Cargill, Diamante, Layla Gray, and Kiera Hogan. She was originally sided with Diamante. It's been billed in as the OG baddie from the 305. I think a lot of people speculated it was Trina, and it was very cool to see her on AEW Dynamite. And of course, Rampage Grand Slam. Kris, how do you feel about these the people who I'm pretty sure you saw, but some people immediately when they saw Trinity, they was doing the who is this thing.
I saw people too. I saw all disrespect, not just from like wrestling fans, but people that I respect in wrestling media. I just saw people just banging on Trina, like, you know, who is this woman and all that kind of shit. I'm like, and some people were trying to say she wasn't relevant anymore in 2022. Let's just forget the fact that Love and Hip Hop Miami.
I forgot about that. Love and Hip Hop Miami.
yeah. I don't watch that shit, but it always beats wrestling in the ratings. You know what I'm saying? It always does. You know, it's one of those shows that people are here for and they watch.
Yeah.
And it's just it's like Trina is not any kind of nobody. I just understand that commentary. You know what I'm saying? I'd say I think she's I think she's a top 10 female rapper. I think I give her that. As far as like Miami, Florida rappers, she's top 5. I mean, it'd be like her, Pitbull, Luke, JT Money, you know, cats like that. Like, I mean, she's in some good company, but I definitely think Trina is somebody that made her mark on the business, you know. And I think it's good that, you know, it was cool seeing her on AEW.
Hey, Kris, what do you think about sort of the bridging of the gap, the bridging between this AEW product and the hip hop culture, of course, with DJ Who Kid and Fab popping up on AEW Dynamite as well. They accompany Masscaster, Bowens, and you know, Swerve and Our Glory to the ring respectively. What are sort of your thoughts about AEW sort of leaning more into that? I think we saw Kevin Gates. They had Jermaine fucking Dupree on AEW Dynamite. What's sort of your thoughts about, you know, them bridging that gap and leaning more to the culture?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's something that I think that WWE and AEW have both like WWE. I think they've tried to lean in with that. But there's like, you know, I think for WWE it's like if you weren't like Snoop Dogg or someone like that, you really just weren't gonna get a whole lot of love. I mean, I think they did do something with Flow Rider.
Flow Rider always get he always get the
stuff. Yeah, but the stuff with Flow Rider though, he was kind of made to look like a dork too. You know what I'm saying? Because he did.
Hey, Kris, do you think that has something to do with maybe like not necessarily like they? In terms of like maybe how they want stuff done is they be like, hey, you need to be recognizable on a global scale, opposed to, hey, you can't just be known within like well known within the Black community and known in certain sectors and other. You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah, they want their people to be mainstream, or at least about as mainstream as WWE, you know, right. And it's not like Trina. I mean, Trina's most mainstream time period was when she did probably the Diamond Princess was her best album. She did the Baddest Bitch first, and then Diamond Princess next, and she like at her peak, you know, like remember that music video she did with Warren Sapp, and she I guess he had dissed her or something, and he was like breaking all of his shit in the house as Nate sits there frozen. Yeah.
Hey, Kris, this is a hell of a stream we got. Huh?
I know this is easily going to go down as the worst in our show's history. I don't see how it's going to beat anything else, but
we still moving, Kris. We still moving, bro.
Okay, cool.
We still moving.
All right. Well, look, man, we're here for the people.
Man, let me tell you something, Kris. Technology is whooping our ass tonight, man. Technology is around, and technology out here doing some globetrotter stuff on your boys tonight, man.
Nate, try something for me. Take your camera off for like 5 minutes or so, and then be on audio for a little bit, and then bring it back if that's okay. Because maybe it's like slowing down a little bit, or you are good now.
Yeah, I'm good. Like my Wi-Fi. So my Wi-Fi after Kris spilled his mimosa on the laptop, my Wi-Fi just blanked out, and so it just came back on. So yeah, I had to reset the Wi-Fi to get back up on here. But yeah, like we gonna keep it moving. We gonna keep it moving, Andrew Thompson.
Hey, so Nate, I actually wanted to ask you while me and Kris was on the topic. Like, what do you think about sort of that? So sort of the people out there that was doing that, or who's training stuff, and also within that, what do you think about, you know, AEW sort of bridging, you know, the hip hop culture within their product, and you know how cool you think that is? And also, man, like I just wanted to mention, like I know Swerve, he was part of the Rolling Loud lineup, I think up in NY, and he was up in New York, and he was on. I think he was a part of the lineup with Kodak Black, and in my opinion, people could see me about this one. The greatest rapper of my generation, G Herbo. I don't care what nobody say. Anybody got any type of debate about this? We could go catalog for catalog, and you ain't gonna win. I'm telling you, the greatest rapper of my generation is G Herbo. You can fight me on that one.
Okay,
but how cool? I'm about to say, Nate, but how cool is it for you? You know, for somebody that's been lifelong wrestling fan to see the hip hop culture embraced just in wrestling in general. Like, it doesn't have to be specific. I mean, we all still be talking about AEW, but like just in a general sense, how cool is it for you as a lifelong wrestling fan to finally see like the culture being more embraced and prominently featured, as we see names like Trina, we see names like Fabulous DJ Who Kid. Kevin Gates been on some shit, so we gonna let Kevin Gates do. but Jermaine Dupri, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool to see.
Yeah. So this is something that we've been talking about for a minute, Andrew, in terms of how do you bring the culture into pro wrestling? And I think we've seen attempts over the years, some good, some bad. I think honestly, the best integration of the culture into pro wrestling in recent years has probably been the New Day. I think because it can't just be we bringing a rapper out. It can't just be we bringing somebody from the culture out. You have to understand the culture. And I think the New Day, with Wale and cats like that, New Day understood the culture. When you talk about what's going on with AEW, I think it's really interesting, Andrew, because you can see there is an appreciation for the culture, and with the way they present these folks. And I never thought in my lifetime, Andrew, I would turn on wrestling on a Friday night and see your boy, good old JR out here. Oh my God, Trina, how could you do that, Trina? By God. She's just a Jezebel, Andrew Thompson. She is the baddest bitch, Tony.
Gerard's probably loves some Trina on the low. I ain't probably gonna lie to you. Gerard's be on some shit on Twitter, so
yeah. And we know he got the hook up on that Blue Chew. Shout out to the Blue Chew people. If you're looking for sponsors, we out here post wrestling all day. But here's the thing, Andrew. I think that there can be a fine line between appreciation and appropriation, right? And so that's I want to see AEW continue to show appreciation for the culture and continue to integrate the culture into their shows. What I don't want to see is a situation where Tony Khan or AEW or Time Warner kind of is using the culture to bring eyeballs in, but then not doing right by the culture on the other side in their programming. You see what I'm saying? I don't want it to be a situation where we just gonna, bring Trina out. We're gonna bring, these fabulous. Yeah, we're gonna bring these cats out and get the shine from it. Get the Twitter buzz from it. But we're not going to put the work into. Now that we got the eyeballs here, let's actually create some interesting storylines for these black performers. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
Let's actually give them something substantive. I enjoy it, and I think it's coming from a good place. And yeah, shout out to Swerve, man, because I think Swerve is in his bag right now, and it comes through, when you're watching these shows.
And of course, coming from that, I don't know if you had the chance to see it, but DJ U-Kid and Waka Flocka said they wanted a tag match against Swerve and Keith Lee coming out of their stage. I don't know if they was joking or they was I mean, it seemed like they was just having some fun, but fun could them joking around.
We saw Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose low key got the best Twitter in wrestling right now. Shouting out Lil Nas X. So who knows what can happen, Andrew? A joke could start. I don't think he responded yet, but he may have. Something joke funny here on Twitter, it could turn into something serious, man. So you never know, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Kris, any final notes on the sort of bridging that gap in AEW between the hip hop culture and also within the pro wrestling?
I'm just not here for any Trina disrespect.
Tell him, Kris. I'm just
not at all. That woman is a pioneer in rap. She's the precursor to a lot of the Megan Thee Stallions and the Lottos and the shit we see today, man. So put some respect on that woman's name. They'll be. I love Trina, man. I bought.
we got an update. We got an update from Mr. Kane on the Lil Nas X Nyla Rose back and forth. Lil Nas X said he was listening, so you never know, Andrew.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's all you need. Hey man, the WWE better start playing and go ahead and get Cardi B up in there. She been basically asking them for a brick. Hey, y'all need to go ahead. Let's do something. Bro, as soon as I would have saw her like quote tweeting us, I'd have been like, dude, let's get on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this shit rolling. Let's do something. Like, even if it's just a backstage segment, we can't get her like live in front of the crowd. Let's hook up something. Have her send in the fucking video. Like,
right.
Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it definitely is cool to see, you know, the culture being embraced more in pro wrestling in a natural sense. It really is cool. But sort of moving on to our next topic, man. Something that I know Kris had wrote an article about over on WrestleNomics.com. You go check that man out. We are still feeling the fallout from All Out since the last time we talked. Matter of fact, I don't even think we did a podcast when this happened. Like, this is our first time speaking since this actually happened. But I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now. The former AEW World Champion CM Punk. You know, the title was vacated along with the AEW World Trios Championships that were held by the Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Nick Jackson, because of the reported physical altercation that took place involving Punk, the Elite, and in addition to producer Ace Steel, who was close friends with CM Punk, and the likes of Christopher Daniels, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler. They were all suspended. And Pat Buck were suspended from AEW as well, reportedly suspended from AEW for their involvement in that entire situation. Kris, I know you had you had a complete breakdown on the written breakdown on the WrestleNomics site about this whole situation. So I definitely wanted to get your take about it, and also sort of let the people know what you wrote about in your article if they didn't get a chance to check it out as it relates to the situation.
Right. So my article came out at the beginning of the month while things were still coming in. Now we kind of know a little bit more. And my whole thing in my article is I didn't think that anybody had to be fired unless there was some kind of lawsuit or something going on. Then, if that's the case, then everything that I wrote about, just forget about, which I said in the article. But if everybody could come together and, figure things out and see what the problem is in AEW, I think it would behoove everybody to see that. I think CM Punk, if CM Punk can't admit what he did at that press conference was wrong, then he probably needs to kick rocks. If the Elite guys, if they can't admit that, go into this dude's locker room after he said all that crap, like right after that, while the guy was running extremely hot, that I don't. When you're in a management position, you are held to a different standard than your workers, right? That's just the nature of wrestling. I think this is a good test for the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because
and Tony Khan as well.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, Tony Khan as well. Because I don't necessarily agree with the narrative that Tony Khan, you can't be friends with wrestlers and whatnot. You can be cool with wrestlers. There just needs to be boundaries established, and CM Punk should never feel comfortable to the point where he could just go on this press conference and eat a bunch of breakfast pastries and then just talk shit about everybody. Like he brought that dude's mama into this situation.
Yeah, hey, bro, hey, Kris, that had to be some of the most disrespectful shit.
Yeah. And I have lived through some pretty epic sports press conferences, and I'm trying to still figure out. I'm still trying to figure out where this one fits in, because we've had Allen Iverson go on a rant about practice, and that was pretty great. We had Jim Mora with the playoffs. Yeah, like I have sat through some shit, and this CM Punk stuff is right there with everything else, man. I
I know people like Wade Keller reported that they're going to probably try to buy out CM Punk's contract. He didn't speak in definites, but he said that could happen. If that happens, it happens. But I do think that, I think that if this isn't the way that AEW, if they can't find a way to turn this thing into a big monster for that company, then I think it's pretty sad. I think it's a sad commentary on wrestling ego. I think it's a sad commentary on just people not knowing how to swallow their pride and shit like that, because I definitely think this is something that people care about. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that all of us care about it. We all want to see it play out. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm just, my whole thing is I'm not bashing the EVPs. I'm not bashing CM Punk. I do think CM Punk was out of bounds when he did the press conference and said all that shit. There's just no nice way of saying that. He was out of bounds, man. And it's just the visual of him stuffing his face with those fucking muffins and shit.
Chris, to throw one back at you, like it got reported by Sports Illustrated that the third party investigation was launched into the situation. And I think Fightful Select had reported that one of the individuals who was present for it was MJF out of all people. But like, Chris, how do you sort of? I know it can be difficult to predict how this could play out, but like with the third party investigation and everybody's account being taken for who was involved in a specific situation, how do you sort of see this turning out? And of course, you got 4 of your main people, on screen people, with CM Punk, with Matt Jackson, with Nick Jackson, with Kenny Omega specifically, who just came back, Punk, who just came back from an injury. How do you sort of foresee like everybody sort of getting back into the mix? I wish I could remember who exactly reported this. I want to say it was Fightful Select. I hope I'm correct on that. If I'm not, somebody please correct me. But I know it was a report out there about sort of how the morale has been since those respective parties have been gone from AEW for this period of time, and things have been smooth and it's been perfectly fine. So if it is the case, then I mean, I don't know, like as far as maybe Tony Khan's decision making, as far as like if he feels the need to let somebody go, I don't know if that's necessary, but at the same time, if it's that drastic of a change to where it's like it feels like, everybody's like, not on edge per se, but like there's like that sort of tension, unnecessary tension, and now that's not there. It's like, and everything's all good and everything's smooth. Like, is it worth it to want to even get that back in there?
Well, and my whole thing is this. This is the question that I asked in my article. Did these issues start with CM Punk, or did CM Punk just shine a light on them? Because let's be 100% real. It's not like CM Punk didn't express grievance before this. He did the promo that he cut on Hangman Page, and he kind of went into business for himself in that promo where he called Hangman Page out and Hangman didn't come out. And why this crap wasn't addressed in that moment is beyond me. You know what I'm saying? It's like Tony Khan has this way, like this toxic positivity that I talked about last month about AEW, where you just kind of pretend that there is not an issue when there's clearly an issue. Because my whole thing is, if it wasn't CM Punk, then like look at the state of Thunder Rosa at the moment, right? Another person that is clearly expressed some sort of disdain in that company and hasn't even been addressed. We don't know this. We don't know what's being addressed with these people. And that's the thing. CM Punk's issue should have been addressed the minute it became an issue.
What's Mark saying?
He said I don't think they're going to make money off this. A part of me respects that and wonders how much of it comes from Tony owning other sports teams and them not being as quote unquote carny.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a shout out to Mark. Yeah, I don't know, but I think that like I said, I don't think firing CM Punk it gets rid of one of the issues. I mean, maybe you don't have another motherfucker eating breakfast pastries in a press conference.
Breakfast pastries.
Why you going in on this man's nutritional choices, Kris?
I'm just saying, man, because it's just the way he was eating them. It was like the more he was eating those things, it was like
who amongst us hasn't been angry at breakfast, Kris? Who amongst us hadn't been sitting there eating a Pop-Tart just wanting to cuss somebody else?
Yeah, it was like those breakfast pastries were giving him more, like he would talk shit, and the more he ate, like
he said the breakfast pastries was fueling him.
Yeah, it was like fueling this dude. It was like fueling that rap, man. And he just kept going on. And
Andrew, you know how like in the cartoons they got like the devil and the angel on somebody's shoulder?
Hey, bro, yeah.
At the press conference, CM Punk had the Pillsbury Doughboy on the shoulder. Tell him how you really feel, Phil.
Like, I'm one of those fools. Like, if anybody's ever been eating with me, I've been out to eat with John and Way before. If I get food in front of me, I'm shutting the fuck up and eating my food. You know, food calms me down. That's what it does with me, man. I'll be probably anxious up until the food gets there. But once the food is there, I'm a happy dude because all I wanted was the goddamn food.
Hey, bro, I only see CM Punk could spark a conversation about a serious moment that this dude had can only spark a conversation about food, man. Shout out to
breakfast pastries.
About breakfast pastries, man. But like, as far as this situation goes, like I don't know exactly how they sort of turn. I mean, maybe it does just turn into a situation of Tony Khan sort of. I mean, like I definitely agree with Kris's point that it doesn't have to be a thing where he has to be like, hey, I can't be friends with any of you anymore. Only handshakes now. No, don't text me. Only email me. I don't think it got to be that type of situation, but I do think there needs to be that sort of, hey, you need to understand that while I am trying to make this an environment where I want you to feel that you can express whatever you want to express and not have to withhold yourself and not have to be something that you're not. But at the same time, you need to understand that I am your boss and I do sign your checks and this shit don't go without me. So y'all need to like have that.
Yeah, like, it's just drawing.
I think it's just like common respect that you would have for somebody. And I feel like in that moment, he did not respect Tony in any way because he basically sat there and disrespected the dudes that helped start the company that he was able to, you know, because I mean, if we being like completely real about it, like Punk has always talked about, you know, being starting up the revolution, quote unquote, or like words alike. And for Cody, Matt, Nick to go do something, go actually do that.
Yeah.
And you know, he and to say that, you know, they couldn't run a target and stuff like that, and like all these other comments. I'm like, dude, they literally started the alternative that gave you probably one of the biggest moment of your wrestling career. So like you can't you can't like actually say that. So like I think it's also a mix of him being in his feelings on top of
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hold on for a second, Kris.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. First of all, and this is why I put it back on Tony, because he shouldn't have been at that scrum in that mental state, right? You got to know your team. If you're the boss in that situation, this dude runs hot. I'm not going to put him in a situation where he can overheat, right?
Exactly.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, real quick, Andrew brought up a name. And I'm not going to play the drop because we didn't have enough problems with technical issues tonight. But I think when you look, like I think there is something you can tell me like, what's your theory, Kris. There is something too. He was the grown-up in the room, right? Cody is the dude that came up in this, right? So to me, it feels like I'm not saying this wouldn't have happened had Cody still been there, but I feel like it's a different vibe in the room when you got a Cody Rhodes in that situation. And then my final point on Tony is, I'm not saying that it's his fault for what Punk said, but I think when you look at Tony Khan, that to me has been the fairest criticism of him as a boss. It's like, come on, dog. Going back to the Big Swole situation, that's not how a boss is supposed to act. Going on Twitter and going after one of your employees, you know.
Yeah, I talked about that in the article. You have established call out culture in your fucking company. You have said by that Big Swole shit, you have given the green light for call out culture. That is not something a boss needs to be doing. You don't need to be calling motherfuckers out. Big Swole didn't last in your company. I don't need to know why she didn't make the cut. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to know why any of the wrestlers who left AEW didn't make the cut. That is not my business, you know? And when you publicly tweet that because you got butthurt at some comment, you know, we can't be, we gotta be better than this, man. And also with CM Punk, because again, I'm not one of those people that thinks CM Punk automatically needs to be fired. I think you need to, cooler heads would prevail. But I'm not here for the fucking Target disrespect either. This is my problem with Strowman and these motherfuckers that like we all work jobs and we all have to fucking pay for our families and whatever the bills. They got to get paid. Being a manager at Target is not some fucking easy shit that you need to be shitting on, motherfucker. It's not, because it's like people that work at Target that are fortunate enough to be ETA's team leads and stuff like that. You have to have a bachelor's degree just to be even considered to be a manager at Target. And some Targets, if you go to the Target in downtown LA, that shit is like 4 stories long, man. And it's a big ass store. And you've got like over 70 employees you got to deal with. And I don't understand the point of CM Punk. You know, you want to bang on Nick Jackson and Kenny Omega and Matt Jackson. Bang on those motherfuckers. Say whatever you want to say about those cats. Don't make fun of people that work at fucking Target. And don't make fun of people who are you know, don't make fun of a guy because he's sharing an account with his mom. You don't know.
Yeah, that bro. Hey, bro, Kris, I'm gonna let you finish, but that I just want to add on, but like what we were saying earlier, that shit was uncalled for. Like, I mean, all of it was uncalled for, but like that was like, all right, bro, like what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like, and the thing with CM Punk is the thing, and this is what I've learned being a professor. It's like the minute you start talking about all the things that you've done and how things were when you were a wrestler, when you were the guy and stuff like that, you automatically turn into the old motherfucker. You automatically turn into the old guy that like is looking down on the young people, right? And that's kind of the thing. I don't think like my whole thing with CM Punk is I think the sentiments behind what he expressed are his honest feelings and they're true. And if that's how he if that's how he feels, then that's how he feels.
Yeah, Mark has said working people are our heroes, man. Thanks for saying it, Kris.
Yeah, because I just don't like that shit, man. Like, we got people from all walks of life who listen to us on posts, who read my articles, who follow us on Twitter and all that stuff. And I'm never, ever for, I didn't like when Braun Strowman did that bullshit where he made fun of people for starting GoFundMes when the pandemic started. And I never laughed at a dude getting fired, but when Braun Strowman got fired after tweeting that bullshit out when he was like trying to bang on. Like Evil Uno is expressing, hey man, I'm struggling. Can I get some help? And then this dumbass motherfucker Braun Strowman comes out and he's like, you should have taken care of your money better. There's another, and I've never respected him again after that. With CM Punk, the reason why it's a little bit easier for me to forgive him is he was picking on specific people. It wasn't like I don't think he meant to clown everybody that works at Target or everybody that shares an account with their mom. I don't think that was his intention. But when you're getting personal with people, you really need to be careful and cognizant of a whole community of people that you might be offending. Because I'm not here for making fun of motherfuckers working and having a job and sharing accounts with their mom, whether it's the mom's primary account or the son's primary account. I know you got a beef with that dude and you want to handle your beef, but that's not the way to do it. You don't fucking do that kind of shit. We all are out here trying to run the same race and do the same things and be productive members of society, and whatever we do that's legal and pay the bills. Don't fucking clown on that shit.
And to your point, Kris, it's like, I was just gonna say, Andrew, like to Chris's point, Punk has kind of become the thing that he banged against for so many years.
Yes.
Like you're now the establishment guy, dog. Like you ain't the rebel no more, cat. You on the dark side. You know, you're not the scrappy underdog. You're this dude that's been making money for years and years and years, coming in telling these younger cats how to do things, right? And I think it kind of ties into what we talked about a month or so ago when we talked about Booker T, Andrew. Like there's a way, if you're a veteran, right, to talk to these cats, to give advice, whatever, but it's not like this. And so, like, again, like I think Punk was in the wrong. I also think Tony's wrong, though, again, because you know how this dude is, man.
Yeah.
Like even when this dude is happy, even when CM Punk is happy, Andrew, he's still an honorary son of a gun. And so like when he's banged up and he's tired, man, that ain't the time to put this dude in front of a live mic.
Right. And I also think that the EVPs are wrong too, because you saw the mood this guy was in, and you go into his locker room. Nothing constructive was going to come from that conversation. I don't care if you had Megha with you or not. He was angry and he was ready to punch, and his boy was ready to bite him. So, you had no business going to this guy's locker room when you were in that state of mind. If you are management, you know this. There was a situation that went on a month or two ago where D.L. Hughley was the headliner of this comedy show, and then Monique gets on stage before D.L. Hughley, and Monique is just banging on D.L. Hughley, talking all kinds of shit about him and just mad at him because he's the headliner and stuff. And D.L. Hughley could have easily went to her locker room and yelled at her and started some shit with her husband and tried to fight that day. But D.L. Hughley understood that nothing good was going to come from that. And even when he went on stage, he mentioned it in passing jest, but he just moved on to his set because that's what grown people do. This is a good learning lesson for the EVPs. You don't have, just because this guy, you are an EVP of a huge ass company. You don't need to be, oh, this guy said some shit about us. Let me go to his locker room while he's angry as a motherfucker. And what's going to be accomplished with that?
Like, so just to like circle back around to it, like, so that this whole scenario, assumingly originally started from when Hangman said those words about the workers' rights stuff involving, and they didn't directly mention CM Punk or like, I don't think anybody really caught it at the time, but like going back and like watching it, it definitely kind of lines up. And I think also when Colt Cabana was like just sort of vanished from AEW television, and I know Tony Khan got questioned about that in media interviews with people. I think he got asked directly, like, did CM Punk have anything to do with, you know, Colt Cabana being moved over or shifted over to ROH or being shifted over to or being shifted off of AEW television? And he said that CM Punk had nothing to do with that. And I think as those talks started to become more prominent and as that thing started to come up more, I think that started to agitate him, CM Punk, a little bit. And like I feel like that's why he felt the need to say what he said, even though I think that that's wrong. Like addressing
and what
go ahead, Kris.
No, and what CM Punk did is make himself look even more guilty. He made himself look like the reason that Colt Cabana isn't on AEW television at the moment. That's with that rant, instead of making himself look like, oh, I had nothing to do with Colt Cabana being on TV. You talk about this dude, you talk about his goddamn mama, you make fun of him. You got the lawsuit. I don't know whose fault it was in whatever lawsuit you had going on, but you instantly babyface this dude by all the shit you said in that press conference. You know what I'm saying? We got to be better than this. We cannot operate in this fashion if we're if you're working for a big time wrestling company, like Andrew was saying. There's a reason, and I'm not with this too, that Tony Khan should have never made the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega EVPs.
Man, AEW wouldn't have been that shit probably wouldn't. But if you didn't offer them something that can like fully reel them in beyond the in-ring aspect, bro, like it's no guarantee that they would even and AEW would even be a thing. Like there is no AEW without that core. Cody, Matt, Nick, Kenny. There is no AEW without them. Like, if you don't make them feel like they are a part of that infrastructure, then there's no guarantee that AEW is even a thing. So you had to do that.
And what people have a tendency to do is they look at one issue and then they'll start trying to justify like every negative thought that they had based off of this one issue. This issue, it was I do believe it was accumulation of things, but it blew up in that press conference, and it was handled wrong. Does that mean I don't think this needs to be a permanent indictment on anybody involved in that situation, but it was handled wrong. As long as we can admit that, and as long as we can acknowledge that, we can move forward from that. You know, I think that this talk of, oh, these guys should have never been EVPs or whatever is just like it's just like the same stuff where when CM Punk's having his issues, and now CM Punk, everything CM Punk ever complained about in wrestling, he was wrong about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, when he complained and left WWE in 2013, he had some valid complaints. Let's keep it real. It wasn't like, oh, he was wrong about that too. Now it's like, stop that shit. You know?
Let's say, Nate, and to a point that you made that I think was like really interesting, like how, you know, Tony Khan could be sort of could be held accountable for in terms of like how this sort of scenario played out in specific to that press conference. Like me personally, I try to when it comes to situations like that, I always view people for like how they react in times of conflict. And like I don't think that I don't think that Tony is a person who is like very confrontational, like in an in-person sense. Like I'm talking about like somebody's like right there. Like I like and especially and you wanna know what? I think that in a way, and of course I don't know, I'm just talking like I don't know this for a fact, but like I think that CM Punk also knows what he adds to AEW and what he has added to AEW. And I think that can be and not saying that he has done this, but it can be used in a way to be like, motherfucker, you need to know what I've done for this company and what I've added to this company, and like it can sort of it can sort of create that like that wall right there to be like, oh, should I say something? Like, should I let him do his thing?
Y'all get what I'm trying to say. That was CM Punk's David Ruffin moment. Like he's looking at Tony Khan like, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
See you,
Like this is about me. Like I'm bringing the people out. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the butts in the seats. This ain't about you, Tony. It's about me. And again, Andrew, I think.
Nate, I was gonna follow up and just ask you, like, do you think it also has to do with Tony Khan maybe not being like a confrontational individual, and not saying like it's nothing wrong with that. I'm talking about like just but some people are naturally just who they. I'm talking about like some people are very confrontational. Some people are not. Some people are confrontational. Some people like when they have those fight or fight moments. Some people will get right back at you as soon as you say something to them. Some people will take a minute for them to process what you just said, and then they'll say something. Some people very quick with it. Some people will just hit you with shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about like just in a just in a general sense. Everybody's different, and I think that Tony Khan is just one of those people. He's not like oh, he gonna tell him to shut the fuck up like during the middle of the press conference. That's just not.
He probably shouldn't have did that either.
Yeah, shouldn't have.
I don't blame Tony Khan for not knowing what to do in that press conference. Because to be honest with you, I wouldn't have knew what to fucking do.
But hey, Kris, bro, you wouldn't know the thing that like. People are, and bro, I'm not like forget this topic in general. I'm talking about like just like period. People got this habit of like saying like if they was in a certain situation, oh, I'd do this. If that was me,
exactly.
Bro, you do not. I promise you do not know what you would do in that situation unless you are in that situation. Like even if something as simple as like people get into a fight, they'd be like, oh, if that was me, you know, I did this, bro. You probably would have froze up just like bro did. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people always do. Like, they have this habit of like, hey man, I would. Everybody has different flight or fight reactions. Everybody, like, and it don't even depend just about like how you're hard. It depends on the situation, like how your mind naturally reacts to things. Like I was saying, even if something as simple as an argument with somebody. Some people are just very naturally quick with it, and that's within their fight or fight. Like somebody say something to them, the first thing you're gonna say is, what the fuck you just say to me? And like some people are like very like non-confrontational. They like to hold on, wait a minute, would like let me process that.
Yeah, and this is where business psychology and management comes in, because one of the things that I know that I wouldn't have done if I was a manager is if somebody just talked a bunch of shit about me at a press conference or just the kind of leadership conferences I go to with my job.
You probably would have felt some type of way too.
Yeah, I would have felt some type of way, but I wouldn't have addressed them in that moment, because I know just from my experience and what my training is, that I'm not supposed to address them in that moment. I go to someone else, I go to the superior, and then we talk about how we handle the situation from there. In no way it wasn't ever right for them to go to the guy's locker. I don't care who they had with them, whether their intentions were good or whether they were bad. That was not the moment to be trying to confront him, even if he invited you to the locker room, say, hey, come see me. You know, motherfuckers tell me to come see them all the time. You don't have to come see them.
Omos be telling Kris come see him all the time in them LA streets.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Kris still ain't seen Omos.
Yeah. And that's just like in a corporate setting, which it is a corporate setting because they're EVPs. They should know better. Yeah. Again, a company is not judged because I've been here and dealing with companies that have these toxic situations. The one thing I always tell the company is you're not judged on when everything is going good and great and everybody loves you. You are judged on how you handle shit when it goes bad, when it goes South, when everybody is not loving each other, when everybody's fucking hating each other at the moment, when the dad is staying over his homeboy's house and sleeping on his couch because him and his wife ain't getting along. That's how you're judged. You know what I'm saying? How do you handle a situation? When do you walk away from something, and then when do you walk towards an issue? This is what a business needs to have, these kind of protocols in place for this to happen. And AEW clearly didn't, because if they had those protocols, then the Young Bucks wouldn't have done that. And in the Young Bucks' defense and Kenny Omega's defense and everybody's defense in that situation, they are not seasoned managers. They did not go to school for this shit like I did, or been managers for a lengthy period of time where
like worked in HR or anything like that.
This is not
Cody would have had it straight though.
Yeah,
Cody would have had them boys straightened out though.
Yeah, I think Cody would have handled it way better. And then Cody was always good at that stuff. It just shows you how valuable a member of that locker room he's in. I'm seeing all of y'all's comments right now. They are great comments, and we'll get to them. But yeah, man.
If you do want to comment, your comments to take precedence, y'all know what to do. Hit that super chat button, and you get to the front of the line with your own breakfast muffin.
Hey, Nate, but before we sort of jump over to the next topic, I know you had like some final thoughts you probably wanted to add on this. This Tony Khan whole situation, and maybe what they could do going forward as the third party investigation continues. And we also had the conversation about if it's worth bringing certain people back. But I mean, if we been like completely fucking real, like why would you want Omega and the rest of these guys and CM Punk all together on the same? Like, come on now. Like, I mean, first of all, that's more people to use, more star power. But at the same time, you also do got to factor in, like how Kris saying, the overall morale and making sure that you keep. It's going to be impossible to keep everybody happy. But at the same time, it's also going to be that mindset. I'm pretty sure, as you guys know, that bro, you ain't got to like everybody you work with. There's no rule in this world that says you got to like everybody you work with. That's not a thing. That should never be a thing. But at the same time, you should have that sort of courtesy to your coworkers and to be like, okay, if I got some beef with you, let me pull you to the side and the back, one-on-one, ain't nobody else. But like to carry it out publicly. Like if you disrespect somebody publicly, you don't get to control how they react to that. Like that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And I know I just asked you a whole question, but like I just had to like got the ball rolling a little bit. But like my biggest pet peeves, bro, is when people they disrespect people publicly and then they get mad about how that person reacts to it. Like you don't get to control how that person reacts, but like once you take it there with somebody on a public level, you never get the control and you have no say whatsoever about how they react to you, because people are always going to react differently to a situation when it's public. And Lord knows how different the situation could have been if Punk would have went straight up to them backstage, said what he said face to face, and that's it. Like maybe it still would have been like, they probably would have gotten into it, threw a couple punches here and there, and they probably would have leaked out, but we wouldn't have had that incentive, that additional content of Punk physically at this press conference saying these things. Right. It adds credence to the actual reports of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Punk also did mention about Hangman Page. He said that the disrespect that Hangman Page showed him was public disrespect. What the hell? God, come the fuck on YouTube. Let's not do this shit
technology, man.
Yeah,
technology is running up the score on us tonight.
You want to know what this is? This is probably the YouTube telling us let's get a skedaddle. But Nate, any final thoughts on this, Nate? Any final thoughts, brother? Close us out.
Yeah. So I think you said, Andrew, none of us would know what we would do in that situation, right? And I agree 100%. We're in that moment when you're in that situation, you don't know how to react. Things happen differently. I think the one thing, and this is again to TK being the boss, is the best way to handle a situation like that is to not put yourself in that situation in the first place.
Right.
And to have the thought like, okay, I see how this dude is feeling right now. He ain't got to talk to nobody. Hey, Phil, Hey man, we appreciate your night, man. Have a good night, brother. Get you a couple Pepsis. We'll see you at Dynamite, player.
Right? Yeah,
you ain't got to talk to people if you don't feel like talking to people. We'll send breakfast pastries to your hotel room.
Right? Yeah, you have to have the mechanisms in place. You have to have plans in place for when shit goes bad. Because that's the thing. That's the biggest failure in business is everybody's got plans for when things are going good. Nobody plans on for shit to go bad. And you have to have these kind of things in place for what happens when a wrestler goes off the rails. What happens when someone feels disrespected? How do we handle it? You know, if you go to my job, and I'm sure if you even go to your job, Nate, there are rules in place in the employee handbook where they tell you if somebody disrespects you, this is what you do, that's what you do, and that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to handle this, and AEW just needs to make that straight. And what's Gerald Andrews saying?
Gerald said it was funny when Tony magically spoke up when they mentioned WWE running shows the day of All Out, but was quiet as a mouse when Punk was going off.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think those are two completely different situations. Like, Tony always talking shit about WWE. Like, hey, he been doing that. Like, that ain't, you know, that ain't. Yeah. But now to what we were saying. Like, I mean, I just think it's a matter of like people react differently to certain situations when you're in the moment, and it's difficult to say what you would do in that specific situation. And in that moment, that's just how he reacted when one of his top guys was, you know, going off on his other top guys, and like, you know, and I think the only thing he could do from that point, from his perspective, was, hey, I gotta go out and put on a fucking banger show on Wednesday, and he did that.
And hopefully,
so I mean,
hopefully this can be like a teachable moment for him, Andrew, because I do think I think TK has good intentions, but like we've been saying, like there's times when you got to be the boss, man. If you getting the big check, if you out there, you know, in front of the cameras, you got to be the boss. And I think that's a lesson TK to learn.
Yeah, and one more thing I'm gonna say before I table my is I think we also have to consider that other people outside of this situation in AEW are upset at various different things. We've heard Brian Cage express being upset at some stuff. We've seen Jonathan Gresham, you know, be upset and haven't been back on television. We've seen Thunder Rosa not be on TV because of some kind of beef going on.
Yeah, I remember that comment that, specifically speaking on the Rosa, when Tony had said that she wasn't like comparing like the draws between herself and CM Punk. That shit was unnecessary. Like you should have never said nothing like that. I mean, like regardless of if it's true or not, like I feel like that's like it does Rosa a disservice. Like
it's some comments need to be kept in house, you know. That wasn't necessarily the best time to be transparent. I mean, if you want to say, hey, CM Punk is the priority right now, I think that's a better way of saying that he's
phrasing it.
Yeah, than just trying to, because I remember the journalist, the woman who he asked that, and he got real defensive at that crap too. You know what I'm saying? He was just he just did not like that question.
Denise Salcedo.
Was it Salcedo that asked him that?
Well, you referring to the comment? You talking about the Thunder Rosa stuff or the Empower stuff? From the Empower stuff. Yeah, that was Ella J who asked that question.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it was just like, you know, Tony Khan, get your shit together, get your company in order. It doesn't have to be this horrible like massacre. It could be better. I've seen more toxic situations than this get fixed. You can fix it, my dude.
And as we move on, brother Nate, before we get into some WWE related topics, gotta shout out the man who created the theme song for this podcast. That man, Righteous Reg, over there at the Graph City Podcast, doing some great things over there with Phil Lindsay and Will Washington as well. Reg put out his annual list of 500 black wrestlers, man. Like one of the lists, I remember I want to say a few years back, he had put one out, and I was able to look through that list and, you know, snatch up a couple of interviews about that thing as well from some people that I wasn't that familiar with. So that was another cool thing. So yeah, I definitely wanted to give Reg his flowers, man. Shout out to that good brother. And, you know, of course, y'all wanted to add anything. Amazing list of 500 black wrestlers that he puts out annually.
Oh yeah, shout out to Reg and the BW 500. That did a good job. I always respect people like Reg who go out and find these cats and just give them some kind of highlight. I appreciate, you know, just him making that list. I remember when he did the list last year, and he told us, you know, and he, you know, I didn't even know there were 500 black wrestlers. So, I appreciate it just from that standpoint. We got a super chat coming through.
There we go.
Yes, we do, brother.
I'm just catching this is from BR. He said $5. Thank you for the $5, sir. He said I'm just catching up and heard Nate mention the MEAC and SWAC. I went to schools in both conferences plus the SAIC, the SIAC.
Nice. Yes. Shout out to all the HBCUs out there, man. Like, hopefully, you know,
out to Norfolk State,
you know,
Norfolk State, man.
Norfolk State, right HU in the building. State, you know, Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Oh, you still there, Nate?
Yeah. So hopefully, you know,
okay.
Yeah. So hopefully the Acclaim can you know, graduate from the MEAC and get to the Big Ten or the ACC and get some of this out of conference play going.
So fellas, as we wind down the podcast, definitely got a couple more topics left. They more so on the WWE side of things. But this is one I am very interested in. We got Logan. I almost said Logan Reigns. Uh-oh, Nate.
Chris, up again.
Chris, you can hear me, right?
I hear you.
Okay, but Nate, he out.
All right, well, let's talk
Hey, Chris. So what do you? I'm pretty sure everybody knows that Logan Paul is going to be challenging Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal title at Crown Jewel. Chris, what's your sort of thoughts on, you know, Logan Paul sort of, you know, essentially jumping ahead of the line and getting the world title shot? And you know, how do you think his sort of mainstream popularity is going to double Nate? Double Nate.
Yeah.
But Chris, how do you think
y'all ain't ready for double Nates?
Yeah.
There we go. But Chris, how do you feel about Logan Paul, you know, being technology whooping our ass tonight, but we fight it through, man. But Chris, how do you feel about Logan Paul getting a title shot, and do you think this match should be similarly structured to how like Brock Lesnar got his matches? Like it should be, you know, Roman Reigns just destroys this dude, get the hope spot in, you know, that one that Kofi didn't get, but you know, it's all good. But how do you think this match should be layered? You think it should just be like that, like, you know, Roman dominates, he gets the hope spot, then you just end it right there?
I honestly, this is for one of those Saudi Arabia shows. I don't really watch those shows, so you know, I don't care what happens in this match. This is what the Crown Prince wants, right? This is a match.
I assume so. Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't know how much more. I mean, look, they're going.
Damn, Chris, everybody messing up tonight, but. And so he doesn't really care about this particular matchup.
Yeah,
there he is. He's back.
Yeah. I don't really.
Yeah, we hear you, Chris.
Yeah. I'm not really tripping over who wins or loses this match because I don't know how much canon it's gonna be into what goes on regularly on WWE television. It just seems like this is a cash grab. They want to keep the Crown Prince happy. And they're making this match. So I think as fans, we kind of have to just understand this is gonna happen. Hampton Cup Dates Internet.
He said, "Money Mark typed in there." Hey, Nate, are you back? You back, brother?
He's there.
Yeah, I'm back in the building, fellas.
Hey, Nate, any thoughts about the Logan Paul Roman Reigns matchup? You know, and probably this hope spot that Logan Paul is going to get that our brother Kofi didn't get, that AJ Styles and Bryan Danielson and Finn Balor got.
Speak on it. AJ Styles, Bryan Danielson, Finn Balor,
Rey Mysterio too,
Kofi Kingston. Was a leading to, but
he tapped out again, Kris.
No, I'm here.
And you can hear about my Rey Mysterio story.
There you go.
Yeah, I was saying you can hear about that Rey Mysterio story on episode 1 of Bushby and Thompson.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, what Rey Mysterio story? I'm sorry, you got.
It was.
You got to go back and listen to Bushby and Thompson episode 1.
It was
the first episode Rey Mysterio.
It was the first episode of Bushby and Thompson when they came on as the first ever guest, and he told this story involving Heinrich and Rey Mysterio. Please go listen to that podcast. Very, very fun episode. But sort of switching gears, man, over to another sort of semi WWE related topic. Mercedes Vonado and Trinity Fatu, as we talked about previously on previous episodes, they've been making big plays outside of WWE. I think they had made the rounds, I think for like some on New York Fashion Week or something like that, and like they doing all these shoots and all this, outside stuff, making all these movie premieres and on these red carpets. They're making big plays, man, and I think it's very cool for them to basically, I don't think they're doing it intentionally, but they just showing like, hey, like we can do this shit on our own. You know what I'm saying? We can make waves on our own. I think that's a cool thing to show. And of course, I'm pretty sure everybody would much rather prefer them back in the professional wrestling space, Kris. But Kris, how do you think about them? So sort of displaying sort of what we all knew, that they can transition over to that mainstream without the pro wrestling backing, even though like pro wrestling is what has given them this platform. But at the same time, I'm talking about as far as where they're taking it, they are sort of doing it within their own boundaries and with their own, popularity that they've garnered since they've been away.
Yeah, I think that what they're doing is great and commendable. And you have to make plans, especially in the wrestling business. You got to make a plan B and you got to make a plan C. And working in WWE under Vince McMahon, know that they need to do that, right? It's just there was some kind of beef, and we were talking about call out culture before. WWE called them out publicly, and you got all these fans that are talking shit about them. And that's something I never understand. I never take the side of the corporation over the employees, because I always know, and it's not that I'm here to bury corporations. It's just I just oftentimes think that employees and Sasha and Naomi are technically not even employees.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
Independent contractors, but I still take their side.
Quote unquote, Kris. Quote unquote, independent contractors.
Yeah, because the wrestling business has built this culture of subservience for just everybody involved. Just like if we talked about this a couple weeks ago or months ago with Brandon Thurston. Like what the wrestling business does to you is it'll tell you that we've done everything for you and we've made your life better, and you need to be grateful to be in our business and to be in our space. And what happens when that happens is the wrestlers, the talent, start losing sight of their own value, right? And you never want to be able to do that. And that's what and CM Punk said this a couple months ago too, and he was right. You know what I'm saying? You've got to make sure that you are you are keep looking out for your fellow wrestler. You know, it's just how it's got to be, because again, what the wrestling industry does is tell you that we've done everything for you. And even the elder statesmen in the wrestling business will tell up and coming talent, hey, you're lucky to be in your spot. So just eat this shit and like it, you know. And I've never been a fan of that kind of culture in wrestling. I've always been a fan of everybody in a situation where they know their value. You know, I want wrestling to operate like sports. I want it to be like
even an everyday workplace. Like
if you don't like this job, you can find a similar job where you get similar pay and do similar things. You know what I'm saying? WWE has operated as a monopoly for far too long that people just start like God forbid a black woman
or two.
God forbid they leave their job because they're happy. They told these motherfuckers in the afternoon that they were gonna leave for a show that was gonna take place that night. They didn't tell them like 5 minutes before the show started. They were like, look, we are not happy, you know. And the way wrestling typically handles that is, okay, you're not happy, get the hell out of here. And then when someone actually does do that, they're branded as unprofessional and angry and this and that. And then I see all kinds of dumbasses online just burying these women. And I'm not saying that those women are right or wrong. I'm just saying let the story breathe and give them because now if they're back in WWE, we'll probably never ever hear their side of the story now.
Shit, I don't even think we will if they don't. At this point.
I honestly don't care about that. You know, I think there's some things that we need to know. And I think if you want to keep certain things close to the vest, that's right. Your business. You know, I think that us and not just fans, but us in wrestling media and stuff like that, we're not entitled to know everything. You know what I'm saying? We find the stories, and if the stories find us and they come to us, we report on it, we talk about it, give commentary, whatever. But if the story isn't out, then you know what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? We've got to move on and all that.
Hey Nate, so to kick it over to Nate, you back, brother?
Oh, you know I'm back.
Let's get it. Okay, Nate.
They tried to get rid of me, but I'm back.
They've been trying to get rid of all three of us today, man. What the hell's going on?
Like Mercedes had recently did an interview. I think it was like on a Star Wars related podcast, and she says, "Hey, I don't think it was like WWE related, but it definitely was something interesting that she said, where she was like, she wants to own her own IP. She wants to hold the character behind the character in terms of like having something that's 100% definitively hers without having anybody else's attachment to it." And I thought that was just something real interesting, because as we all know, WWE they like to own majority of these characters. Like there's been very few, like not very few, but there's been, you know, a handful of instances where people have come in and they've used their names prior to when they were in WWE, or they retained those names post WWE. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's also a cool thing for her to be able to, you know, express that, and I also think it's cool for Naomi to be able to express that as well. Just talk to me, Nate, about how you feel about, you know, both Naomi and Sasha making these plays outside of WWE and essentially showing that, hey, you know, we love wrestling, but you know, we can clearly do this and keep going forward without it, and still get the same amount of buzz.
Yeah. Well, one of the things Kris always says when we talk about these kind of situations is it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Yeah. Like WWE, you know, they didn't make Sasha Banks, you know, they're Mercedes. Like they made Sasha Banks, quote unquote, but they didn't make Mercedes. She brought her own talent and skills to the table. And so, you know, they need her talent, and for a time she needed their play, and say the same for Naomi, for Trinity. Like, they can make moves outside of the WWE.
And I really do not.
To Chris's point about the attitude. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Kris, like the attitude you're describing, like when the company is like, you got to eat this and take this, and make that about me. I made you anime. I made them songs. You don't do nothing anime.
Yeah.
Or
player empowerment. I'm all here for wrestler empowerment.
Yeah, I never understood like the name thing in WWE either, because now in 2022, these fucking fake names are so worthless. It doesn't matter. Like Dean Ambrose leaving WWE and going to AEW and becoming John Moxley.
Again,
it's the same fucking thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like becoming his former self, John Moxley.
Yeah, like Paige becoming Soraya. What's the point of having these? Because if these people are not characters, the name changes are dumb and stupid and make no sense. It's like, okay, your name is whatever, John Moxley, but we're gonna call you Dean Ambrose instead. Or your name is Tyler Black, or your old name is Tyler Black. We like Seth Rollins instead. And if Seth Rollins leaves WWE,
he's going back to Tyler Black. Yeah,
is go back to Tyler Black, and nobody's gonna give a fuck. I mean, it just does not matter. And that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, the names are nice and they're cool, and I guess you get recognition off of it. And that's a good thing too, but like, what happens if you're somebody who had a name like a Dean Ambrose, and the last time you were in WWE, you were wrestling a plant or something, and you leave WWE and you go to AEW and you become John Moxley? That you are shaking off a lot of just bad vibes when you get rid of that WWE name. Like, it's almost like a rebirth, right? It's almost like being
it's a fresh start.
Like a communion of sorts. Yeah, just being
he said a communion.
Just being washed away by the blood. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like a rejuvenation.
He said a communion.
It is like a baptism, right? When you get to leave that place and go back to your other name. Like, I think if you're gonna do this
Pastor
name
Kris.
thing,
wow,
it's got to make the name mean something, and then if they want to leave, then whatever, you know what I'm saying? But these names don't mean anything, because all they're going to do is go to another company and use the exact same name. And another thing, and this is the thing that I think people don't understand about the wrestling business too. And this is a psychological thing on how they try to own you, is that when you are on WWE, you are like, let's take Roman Reigns, for example. On WWE television, he's Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns does a talk show, he's never Joseph N.W.A. He is Roman Reigns. If he does a talk show, if he does any kind of media circuit, he is Roman Reigns. This guy is expected to be Roman Reigns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless he's with his family. You know, that's just how the wrestling industry works. But they say, oh, these people are expected to play characters. And it's like, no, you want these motherfuckers to be characters all the goddamn time. You don't ever want them to be themselves until they are at home, you know? And when they are in public, Roman Reigns I've never seen Roman Reigns, whether he's on Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Steve Colbert, whatever talk show he's on, he is always Roman Reigns on these talk shows. You know, he does not get to be Joe N.W.A. You know, and this is like kind of like what's expected of you in the wrestling industry. And that's one of the reasons why I like the way Tony Khan does things a little bit better, is because these like in WWE, they want you to like they want you to be what they created all the time, you know. And I think psychologically you do lose a little bit of yourself when that happens, right? So we're seeing Sasha Banks and Naomi, and they're hitting the red carpet, as their real names, and just kind of just feeling like looking good, one, and also you know, you could kind of look at them and tell that they don't have that baggage on them, that WWE baggage on them that they've been carrying for the greater part of this year. You know,
they're unbothered.
Hey, Nick, can you throw up that comment from Mark again up on the screen?
Yeah.
Mark said, I think Hunter is just more aware of pop culture. If Sasha comes back and is on the #1 show in the world, I bet Triple H will acknowledge it.
Yeah, you have to. If she comes back and she's on the #1 show, you have to acknowledge the things that these people do outside. You have to make a situation at a job where you want your employees to be so good that if they find something better, they feel
supported.
Yeah, you are happy that they found something better.
Hey, Kris, even piggybacking up, like, bro, even something as small, like I remember when like this is like something minuscule compared to what we're talking about now, but like I'm talking about like just making the people that's under contract and work for you feel supported. Like I remember when like I think it was Carmella. She had dropped like some type of like wine or something like that, and like they completely ignored her shit, and like they went and dropped their own like wine like connection. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like just simple stuff like that can like go along to your, like it can make people go even harder for you, like beyond the financial stuff.
That remember when with Jim Ross's barbecue sauce? And with the way WWE just always used to disrespect him with that barbecue sauce, have people like pour it on him and stuff, and just like use it as a joke, or like this guy's passion project outside of wrestling. And he gets to reach a whole new fan base with
it's like the Twitch stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys can't be supportive. If Jim Ross,
WWE, they was hating with the Twitch stuff. They was hating because people was making that bag.
Yeah. It's like you need to be you need to be happy for wrestlers, because that's just the natural progression of life. You know, we evolve and we do things for a season, and
we branch off, bro.
Yeah, when that season is over, we have moved on to the next thing, and we should all be happy for that person. You know, it should never be a thing where you're taking it personal, or you've got to bury the talent after they leave or whatever. It needs to be a situation where you are happy that they found peace in whatever other walk of life they did. Can you highlight that comment from Sam Banks? It's a big one. He's got the Fire CM Punk one, but the one below that, it says
you pull that up, Nate? There you go. Yeah. Just because someone isn't happy doesn't mean they're being treated unfairly. Maybe the person who is unhappy just has a bad attitude and won't be satisfied with anything, ?
Or maybe they're just fucking unhappy. Huh? How about that? You know what I'm saying? Maybe they are unhappy because the culture in that company is not good. You can't fucking come at us with that bullshit when the owner of that company has been humping around for decades, and it finally caught up to him. He finally had to retire because of his bullshit, because of his sexual harassment, because of his fuckery. right? And this is where these two black women work. And you think this is, oh, yeah, maybe they're just in that. Stop that shit. Let's stop that kind of bullshit.
Mimosa Kris post wrestling with the hashtag in there. I think that's way with the Mimosa Kris.
But I'm just saying, like, can we not do that? Can we not do that? Is all I'm saying. Is like, can we understand that this company was not a normal place? How many of us have worked in a company where the CEO of the company has been charged with rape, not just one time, or not charged with rape, but been accused of rape, not just one time, but multiple fucking times? Have you ever worked for a company like that, Nate? Have you ever worked for a company like that, Andrew?
I have not.
I have not either, motherfucker. This is the problem with the wrestling industry and wrestling fandom and people of culture like this. We got to stop that shit. We have to fucking stop that shit. We can't continue on like this, man. And to pretend that these women were in a normal work environment is disrespectful to whatever the fuck they did or didn't go through. Stop that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
And yeah, I was gonna say, Andrew, I feel like we got Mimosa Kris certain level right now.
It's just like
you want to talk about his favorite.
Yeah, say what? Say Nate, you back now?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is our final topic, man, for the show. NXT related. We'll be joking about Chris's favorite show, the NXT product. At the conclusion of the September 13th episode of NXT 2.0, it was their 1 year anniversary celebration. At the end, there was a video package. They sort of recapped the year. What is the biggest highlights of the moments from the past year, this NXT 2.0 product. And at the end of it, you heard Shawn Michaels mentioning something about Chad Riviere in response to Chris's comment. Chris's comment said, "God damn!" Shout out to Chad for the comment. But
I'm just saying, like, we gotta stop pretending that this shit is normal, and we can't normalize it and be like, oh, maybe Sasha and Banks. No, the fuck they weren't. They were working for a company where a CEO was accused of rape and harassment multiple fucking times. In every fucking decade since the goddamn 80s, this dude has been accused of some shit. But maybe Sasha Banks and Naomi are the fucking problem. I'm not saying that he sexually harassed those two, but come the fuck on.
Mark added, Mimosa Kris is right though, especially when those two women have not said a damn word. They left and have been very professional.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's like I'm trying to understand how we kind of fix this thing to be like, oh, let's blame these two women and absolve WWE of all responsibility. You know what I'm saying? It's just insane to me.
So going back to the going back to the NXT at the conclusion of the NXT show, Shawn Michaels Shawn Michaels had said something about evolving in NXT, continuously evolving, and then a graphic showed up and it took away the 2.0 from the NXT logo, and it was just NXT, and then they went to the white and gold symbol, and that's they obviously have changed that logo. It's all over WWE's website. They changed it on the formats on the TV, so it's looking like the white and gold version of NXT is in effect. I don't know if that means anything different. The show still seems the same, but of course I'm not expecting. I'm pretty sure like Nate and Kris aren't expecting like some drastic change, overnight change. It's probably might be like a gradual thing as this new regime sort of kicks in. So I'm definitely am interested in that. But Kris, I know you've expressed in the past about like your thoughts about the NXT 2.0 product. Like if you had to like sort of to suggest like a timeline as far as like when we might start to see those changes as this new regime is in place, like when do you think we'll sort of see that? You think we'll sort of see something like post WrestleMania 39 next year, or post WrestleMania 39 next year? Like that's when we'll see like that complete shift of this NXT 2.0 to some semblance of what it used to be with more independent talents mixed in with those talents that you're looking at from that NIL program.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing like a weaning off process, right? Instead of quitting the drugs immediately.
Quitting the drugs.
Instead of just going cold, they're trying to gradually take us off of NXT 2.0, which I don't understand, because the faster NXT 2.0 goes away, the better. I did watch NXT 2.0 this week because this morning I did SP3's show. I did True Hill Heat. He asked me at the last minute. So I did a speed watch of it this morning, and I do see that it's trying to get better in certain areas. There are some Triple H. There's still some stuff from the old WWE guard that doesn't make me as bullish on WWE as I was at the start of the Triple H era. But I'm hoping that some of this stuff goes away. For example, sorry about that, Eric. It's a technical issue at the moment. We've been having issues all day. But anyway.
Hey, Kris, Eric got a question. He says, is there going to be an unexpected North American champion to go with the new Vision Solo with stripped of the title?
Okay.
Like, so just to add on that real quick, I didn't get the point of them taking the title off Carmelo Hayes. If this was something that they knew they were going to do, I really don't get the point of them like ending his reign. You could have just kept him strong, or you could have just had Solo kept the title until Halloween Havoc, which is like literally in 3 weeks.
This is one of those WWE tropes that needs to go away too. Because the way Shawn Michaels, and I actually didn't mind the promo Shawn Michaels cut. I'll talk about the stuff I liked about it in a minute. But by WWE's logic, with the way they explained Solo Sikoa, is he got into a match that he wasn't supposed to be in, and he won the North American title. So he had to vacate it, right?
So why did the referee go out there, and why was he able to defend it on SmackDown?
So then he defends it, which flies in the face of logic. But concurrently in WWE, you have the same thing going on. Austin Theory has a briefcase that he wasn't even supposed to be in that match, and he was just put in that match at the last minute and won the match. And it makes no sense for him to be in that match and have the briefcase, and he's not giving up his briefcase. Like this is WWE logic, and it was something I hated about the Vince McMahon era, and it's something that I think that Triple H needs to do away with now, because it's like it's easy to say, oh, that Solo Sikoa stuff would have made sense if he didn't defend the title, and if Austin Theory wasn't holding the briefcase that he wasn't supposed to hold in the first place anyway, like you got to be consistent with these things, because people will call it out,
Yeah. As I say, and Nate, like, I want to sort of get your thoughts about this. Oh, you go ahead, Nate.
Yeah. Now, Andrew, I think we figured something out. Kris told on himself without realizing that he told on himself, because he mentioned he had to so he can go on True Hill Heat and talk about it. So it seems like CM Punk wasn't the only brother who was mad while eating breakfast foods. Kris was probably talking about himself all the time. He was bringing up being angry over pastry. You ain't Kris. We see the vision. We see what was going on in that mind of yours, brother. But yeah, I think going back to, if not, NXT from 2 or 3 years ago, at least to a more not serious, but maybe more toned down version of this NXT is a good idea. I think there've been a lot of competitors leading that parade of people that were not into NXT 2.0. And so I feel like if we can kind of get a more grounded, 2.0 and 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 2.0 version of NXT. It will be beneficial for the talent as well as for the audience. But you kind of got to wean people off, Kris. You can't just, the NXT 2.0 is like some cocaine, brother. And you just can't quit that cocaine. You got to wean off of it. I ain't never been on cocaine, but all the Lifetime specials and the specials I've seen tells me you have to go through a detox program, Kris, and that's what the next few weeks are probably going to be.
Right, and my biggest thing with NXT 2.0 is I want to like people like Lash Legend, for example. She needs to know how to wrestle so she won't hurt anybody in the ring doing some, because I've seen some cringe moments out of Lash Legend. And this isn't a knock on Lash Legend, but this is just a knock on WWE throwing these people to the wolves super fast and not letting them develop into good wrestlers. And just, because that's just, you don't want to put your established talent through the ringer like that. You're saying you don't want to get them in a situation where they're getting hurt and all that. And like, even with like the Omos stuff, I don't want him getting hurt, and I don't want him hurting anybody else. It's all that. So hopefully with this new NXT that they're doing, like going back to the old way, we will see it ain't the same. I feel you on that. But hopefully we just see these wrestlers develop into people that are masters of their craft, and that's all we can hope for.
Yes, and lastly on this, Triple H had did an interview where he talked about sort of NXT's expansion plans, and they're like, he wants to do like an NXT South America and NXT Mexico and like all this like different NXT Latin America and like all this different type of stuff, like all these different branches and like NXT China and like all the like while I do like while this is not nothing new, because he said this before, like I don't think that's a good way to go about like branching off, because like you're sort of like instituting like these little monopoly pieces. And trying to connect everything back to WWE, and I don't think that's good for wrestling as a whole, for one company to have their hands in every different pocket around the world. Like, I mean, to us, like from a business standpoint, in terms of like making sure you can collect like abundance of great talent, I get it, but at the same time, I don't think it's a good way. Like, and I don't think it helps wrestling overall by you having your hands in these every single pocket of the world containing professional records. Like at the same time, like you are preventing some of these people from going through that sort of grind that makes them the great wrestlers that they could become. And you're like instantly throwing them into this WWE system. And it's like, hey, this is what you should be. This is what we want you to be. Like, and that's sort of put, and if they don't work out to the expectation of them, then you have the out of throwing them to the wayside, and then they back at square one when they used to this WWE experience, and maybe that for some of them that's all they know. And then when they got to go out here and interact with these promoters and get themselves booked and learn how to promote themselves in a way that's in the mix of everything else that's going on, some of them get lost. And you know what I'm saying? Like even when when they bring certain people over. Like even I mean this not from out of the country, but like even like they had somebody like, and this I don't think she's wrestling as active anymore, but like, I remember they had Allison Danger come over for to move her entire family across the country, and they fired her, and then like she was just stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that, and like that, bro. That can happen with somebody from a different country. Like if the shit don't work out, they cut you. You got visa situations. You got people. You got people who moved over there, like people from different countries and stuff like that, and that shit fucks with them, bro. And that can legitimately sort of ruin some people, and not in a super drastic sense, but I'm talking about sort of delay the progression they could make in the professional wrestling sense that they were able to just hone their craft in their respective areas. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like regardless of what the fuck I'm saying now, WWE, they gonna do it anyway. Like there's going to be an NXT China, there's going to be an NXT Australia, there's going to be an NXT South America. Bro, regardless of what I'm saying now, that shit's happening. So,
but you are right, and they do run into a lot of antitrust issues doing that, right? Because what's going on in with Amazon right now, that my state, California, we're suing Amazon for muscling a lot of smaller, similar businesses out of business, because what Amazon has done is they've turned into, like, you got Amazon Music. Like, you cannot escape Amazon. We live in 2022. We all use Amazon for something, whether it's to get deliveries. They've got NFL football on Thursday night on Amazon. For deliveries, they pretty much are like the go-to thing for like getting stuff delivered, and
they don't even try to hide it.
Yeah, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. And then the state
commercials show you they have all.
Ray has said. Ray has said, what credibility would WWE have in branching off NXT around the world when NXT UK didn't last? That is a good point. But to be honest with you, I think with NXT UK, I think the thing that hurt that brand really bad was, of course, the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic hurt a lot of people. Like, just specifically speaking in a professional wrestling setting, it hurt a lot of people. But I think with the NXT UK brand and them, sort of like I felt like that brand, it's the reason it started to fall apart was because, like, when they moved into that empty studio, it just I don't know, it like the brand really didn't it didn't have that much momentum. Let me retry that. It definitely did have some momentum, especially coming out of that last takeover they did when Adam Cole and them Undisputed Era came and attacked Imperium. It did have some buzz around it, but I don't know. I just think, of course, well, along with the pandemic, I think also speaking out hurt that brand a lot. With them, like, some of their talents getting named in that, like that shit, like that's one of those, like, that just came to my mind. Like that's one of them clouds that I don't think that brand will have ever been able to escape. It would have been like so heavily associated with the infrastructure of that brand and so many talents. Like I think Joe Coffey was named in there. El Ligero, Travis Banks, Jack Gallagher, people getting Jordan Devlin, people getting named, and I feel like that was the sort of killer for NXT UK, because, like, once you get past that point of it's not just a wrestling thing anymore, then it becomes like a legitimate issue where you got people getting accused of being abusers and sexual harassers, and you know what I'm saying, like that shit. That goes beyond the wrestling scope and the wrestling bubble. So I think ultimately that's what did NXT UK in, and that's strictly on those specific individuals that were named in that fault. That's their fault. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about specifically for them and how they chose to go about their lives and, going about certain situations. That's on them, and that's the shit they got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? They fucked that up, and they ain't on nobody else. That's on them. But yeah, I think that's why they are rebranding and restructuring it as NXT Europe, and sort of like I mean, like I can't like exactly tell you how the European independent scene is. I mean, I could like tell you, like, based off stuff that I seen, like Rev Pro, and I check out some OTT stuff here and there, like not a lot. Like, I'm talking about like sporadically, I'll check it out. And it's some different stuff going on out there. Some talented wrestlers as well, like Leon Slater, who I just talked to recently. Who's 17 years old, young black prodigy out here, man. But I mean, like, to raise question, I think that's why they are rebranding it, and they're going to try to. It'll be more streamlined with Paul Levesque as the head of WWE Creative, and like I think things will be more intact, and everything will be more like, in touch with one another. Like if there's a NXT China event, you'll probably see talents from China you know, from the main roster, like a Xia Li within that niche. You know what I'm saying? If there's a talent from the Latin American region, you'll see talents from the main roster in that region. You know what I'm saying? I feel like under Triple H's regime, like it'll be more streamlined opposed to with Vince McMahon, where things was just sort of like touch and go. Like Triple H did have control and then he didn't have control, and like, you know, somebody had some say in certain things. But yeah, ultimately to Ray's point, like I think what killed that NXT brand was the speaking out movement. And of course, like I said, that ain't nobody's fault but the individuals themselves who got named in that, because you put yourself in this situation, especially as a grown adult. Like, but you know what you're doing out here, bro. So like it ain't no excuses for that. But yeah, going back to the original thing. I don't think it's a good idea to have your pockets in every certain, you know, division around the world. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's gonna happen. So like whether I like it or not, like it ain't gonna stop them from their expansion plans.
Well, I think they're optimistic about it happening. I'm not sure how successful they're gonna be at it happening. You know, they've had a hard enough time with just the United States of America, right? So I think they'll try. I think they'll attempt to do it, but I'm not one of those people that think it's just going to automatically be a
success.
That with everything they want it to be. I think they're going to be a lot of growing pains if you go through. I think right now the focus on WWE is building up goodwill with the fans, building up goodwill with just everybody that's involved in that product. My biggest problem with WWE for the last few years is just the ignoring of issues like the stuff that Vince McMahon has been doing for decades that I went on a rant about earlier. You know what I'm saying? That culture in WWE needs to be cleaned up. It's got to be redone and rethought and reimagined, because it's been bad, and there's no other way to say that. You get these stand up for WWE people online that are just so willing to take their side and not even listen to not like with Sasha Banks and Naomi, for example. You haven't even heard a side yet, or their side yet, and you just automatically want to believe everything that the WWE is saying, you know. And then
they don't care because they're not invested in what's right. They're invested in my entertainment, and these women are taking the people behind these characters.
Yes, exactly. They don't care about the characters. So WWE, they've got to they've got to show that they've got some kind of humanity in that company. They're doing things differently, that they're actually a company that cares, that when they bring out like these Make-A-Wish children and stuff like that, the Connors Cure children and all of them, that you're doing it because you want to help children, not because it's something that looks good on your corporate portfolio, you know. And I think when you've been operating in that space for so long, it's very easy to like be stuck in that, you know, because that's what WWE's always been. They've always loved, you know, just being able to brag about their humanitarian work to the point where it almost felt like they're doing it more to grandstand. They're doing it more to be like, look at us, everybody. Look at all the cool stuff we're doing for sick children and, you know, whatever the thing is, you know. And then at the same time, you go to Saudi Arabia and you you take this Saudi prince's money, you know, and you know, it's like, it's a problem, you know. What is Ray saying?
He said this might be a Kings of Sport episode, but there are definitely parallels between Vince McMahon and Robert Sarver.
Oh yeah.
Hey, brother,
we will have to talk about that, Kris.
Brother Nate, Take us home, brother. Take us home.
Yes.
I just want to, before we go, I want to shout out everybody who stuck with us through all these technical difficulties today. I had technical difficulties this morning that got fixed pretty fast, and then on this show, it's just been technical difficulty after technical difficulty after technical difficulty. But you guys have stuck with us and you listened and you got your comments and I appreciate it so much. I know we all appreciate it at Post and us because we're still trying to grow and do something with our, not just the Post brand, but all our individual brands. So sticking with us through this means a lot to I'm sure all three of us, and I love all of you for it, the Post universe, and just thank you for if you could stick with us through today, then I think we'll be good for the rest of this year and next year. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and Kris kind of stole my thunder, Andrew, for what I was about to say, but I'm gonna let it slide because I know my good brother off that Mimosa and Moderna. So I appreciate Kris for sticking through all this stuff, man. We dealt with a lot of different issues tonight, but he took
your whole outro, bro.
He really did, man. It's like going back to the Temptations. It's like that scene where they didn't kick David Ruffin out the group, but he comes back. That one.
I'm David Ruffin, and these are the Temptations.
Well, shit, we the lactations right now.
Last, yeah, choreography. Yeah. But my last point on NXT before I wrap up for my point, Andrew, is Chris's point. In this situation, WWE, you Popeyes, and NXT is the chicken sandwich. I'm gonna need you to get the chicken sandwich before you start branching out to pizza, and egg rolls, and lasagna, and tacos, and all sorts of other foods from exotic lands, as you would say. You need to get the basics straight before you can expand. So I hope their global expansion works for the talent primarily more than anything, but we'll see. But as Kris said, man, we appreciate everybody for sticking through. It's almost 12 o'clock on the East Coast, and we got like 40-something people tuning in, man. We appreciate this. We're going to hopefully next month the technology will behave like it's supposed to. I see we got some super. Go ahead and say what you got to say, nephew, while I bring up this super chat real quick.
Did I have something to say? I mean, here you go. Super chat from Ray Williams. You just saved me, brother, because I did not know what I was about to say. No, thank you, 3 magnificent melanated brother. Shout out to Ray. Appreciate you tuning in, man.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in, good man. But yeah, I don't really have an outro, but I appreciate everybody taking the time to come check out the pod, man. It's always a good time to come chat with fellas once a month. And I'm looking forward to the October podcast that we're gonna record.
Yeah, and I want the brother that commented earlier that I went on that rant in regards to Sam. Yeah, we appreciate you listening. It's just I really do get frustrated when things get turned back around on the talent when
he probably the one that got you kicked off the screen.
Probably, man.
No, I'm playing.
I don't always want to go in on people that listen to the show, but it's just that kind of stuff. It really becomes bothersome when I'm working in this space. It's just like how much can people take in that company? And again, not saying that Vince McMahon is sexually harassing anybody, those two women, but it's just we know the history of that company, so we need to always take that into consideration before we start passing judgment, is all I'm saying.
Take us home, Nate. I don't think Nate able to take us home. But brother Kris.
Okay,
yeah, we gonna wait till Nate get back in the mix. But
yeah.
I only think
for the folks watching live tonight.
Nate, where you at, man?
Media.
Kris, I think he's doing the outro right now, but he's just lagging.
Okay, let him do the outro.
Nate, the only person that can hear the outro.
Yeah, I can't hear anything this brother is saying, man. This is the most technical difficulties show.
Yo,
he had Kris on the Summer Jam screen doing it. He was doing
And we still got like a bunch of people listening.
Get up out of here, brother.
There you go. Hey, they just hit the end button, bro.
Yo,
thank y'all for watching. Kris, Andrew, Godfather. The revolution may not be televised, especially with technology like this, but it damn sure will be podcasted. We'll see y'all next month.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the godfather. Host wrestling the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest is pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.